When a threatening message shatters her hard-won peace, Clara discovers the ghost who destroyed her family. Marc Grail has returned. Worse, he secretly funded her husband's empire and now targets their daughter. As buried secrets surface and danger escalates, Clara must transform from survivor to warrior, forging dangerous alliances to expose the predator who believes he owns them. But destroying Grail means risking everything: her family, her empire, and the future she's fought to build. Hey family, welcome to Real Life Heart Stories. Please subscribe and give this video a like. It truly means the world to us. Don't forget to share it with your friends and loved ones, and turn on post notifications so you never miss a new upload. Thank you so much for the support. Now, sit back, relax, and let's dive into today's story. Clara stood by the glass window of her office, watching rain slide down like tears. Her reflection stared back at her, tired but stronger than before. 3 years ago, she had nothing. Now, she owned Veil Strategist, the most trusted consulting firm in the city. But tonight felt different. Wrong. She turned slowly, scanning the empty conference room. The lights hummed softly overhead. Everything looked normal, but her instincts screamed otherwise. Someone was watching her. Her phone buzzed on the table. She picked it up, expecting a message from Elias, her husband. Instead, she saw an unknown number. The message was simple but chilling. "You were never meant to survive." Clara's hand trembled. She deleted the message immediately and locked her phone. Her mind raced. Who would send this? She had already destroyed Vivian Arlo, the woman who ruined her family. That chapter was closed, or so she thought. She grabbed her coat and headed for the elevator. As the doors closed, she caught a glimpse of movement in the reflection behind her. She spun around. Nothing, just shadows. By the time she reached home, her nerves were raw. The penthouse was warm and bright. Elias met her at the door, concern written across his face. "Long day?" he asked gently. Clara forced a smile. "Just tired." Their daughter, Hope, came running down the hallway in pajamas, her curls bouncing. "Mommy, I drew you a picture." Clara knelt and wrapped her arms around Hope, breathing in her innocence. "Show me, sweetheart." Later that night, after Hope was asleep, Clara stood on the balcony staring at the city lights. Elias joined her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You're somewhere else tonight," he said softly. Clara didn't answer right away. She wanted to tell him about the message, about the feeling of being watched. But fear held her tongue. Not fear for herself, but for him and Hope. "Just thinking about how far we've come," she finally said. Elias kissed her temple. "We're safe now, Clara. Whatever happened before, it's over." But Clara knew better. The past never stayed buried. It always came back, hungry and angry. Inside the penthouse, her emergency phone blinked silently in the drawer. She had 3 contacts saved on it. People from her old life. People she swore never to call unless the world was ending. She checked it before bed. Another message waited. "The storm is coming, and this time your family pays the price." Clara's breath caught in her throat. She looked toward Hope's room, her heart pounding. Whoever this was, they knew about her daughter. They knew where she lived. They knew everything. She closed the drawer slowly and made a decision. She wouldn't run this time. She wouldn't hide. If someone wanted war, she would give them one they'd never forget. But first, she needed to know who she was fighting. Clara woke up before dawn, her mind buzzing with questions. She kissed Elias softly, careful not to wake him, and slipped out of bed. Hope was still asleep, clutching her stuffed rabbit. At her office by 6, Clara unlocked the bottom drawer of her desk. Inside was a file she hadn't touched in years. Dust covered the edges. She opened it carefully. Photos spilled out. Her father, young and proud. Her mother, smiling in a garden. And newspaper clippings with headlines that still hurt to read. Den Empire collapses. CEO arrested for fraud. Family fortune lost overnight. Clara's jaw tightened. She remembered the day everything fell apart. She was 16. One morning, she was the daughter of a billionaire. By evening, she was homeless, her family name destroyed. Vivian Arlo had been the face of the betrayal. But as Clara flipped through the papers, one name kept appearing in the fine print. Marc Grail. She typed his name into her private search database. Nothing came up. No social media. No business records. No death certificate. It was like he'd never existed. But Clara knew better. Marc Grail was real. She'd met him once as a child. He'd given her a silver bracelet and smiled too long. Even then, she felt uncomfortable around him. Her phone rang, startling her. It was Corbin Vance, Elias's oldest friend and business partner. "Clara, we need to talk," Corbin said, his voice urgent. "About what?" "Not over the phone. Meet me at the cafe on 5th. 1 hour." He hung up before she could ask more questions. An hour later, Clara sat across from Corbin in a quiet corner booth. He looked nervous, his fingers tapping the table. "What's going on?" Clara asked. Corbin slid a photograph across the table. Clara picked it up, her stomach sinking. It showed 3 people standing together. One of them was Elias, much younger, maybe in his 20s. Beside him stood a man in an expensive suit. Marc Grail. "Where did you get this?" Clara whispered. "I found it while going through some old files." "Clara, there's something Elias never told you. Grail wasn't just some investor. He funded Elias's first company. Without Grail, Elias would have nothing." Clara stared at the photo, her mind reeling. Elias never mentioned him. Not once. "Because you don't mention a man like Grail unless you want him to know you're still thinking about him," Corbin said darkly. Clara's hands trembled. "Why are you telling me this now?" Corbin pulled out his phone and showed her a picture. It was Hope standing outside her school. The photo had been taken from across the street. "I got this yesterday," Corbin said quietly. "No message. Just this." Clara felt her blood run cold. "He's watching her." Corbin nodded. "And if Grail's back, Clara, none of us are safe." Clara didn't go home immediately. She sat in her car outside the penthouse for 20 minutes, gripping the steering wheel, trying to steady her breathing. Elias had lied to her, or at least hidden the truth, and now their daughter was in danger because of it. When she finally walked inside, Elias was in the kitchen making coffee. He smiled when he saw her. "You left early," he said. "Everything okay?" Clara set her bag down slowly. "We need to talk." Something in her tone made him pause. He set the coffee pot down. "What's wrong?" She pulled out the photograph and placed it on the counter. Elias stared at it, his face going pale. "Where did you get this?" he asked quietly. "Corbin gave it to me, along with a picture of Hope taken outside her school." Elias's jaw clenched. "Someone's watching Hope?" "Yes, and I think it's the same man in this photo. Marc Grail." Elias closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened them, Clara saw something she rarely saw in him. Fear. "I thought he was gone," Elias said softly. "I cut ties with him years ago. Why didn't you tell me about him?" Clara's voice cracked. "You know what I went through. You know Grail was connected to my father's downfall. And you never once mentioned his name." Elias ran his hands through his hair. "Because I was ashamed. When I started my first company, no one would invest in me. I was nobody. Grail found me through a mutual contact. He offered funding with no strings attached. I was too desperate to ask questions." "But there were strings, weren't there?" Clara said. Elias nodded. "Always. He helped me win contracts. He made competitors disappear. By the time I realized what kind of man he was, I was already in too deep. So I worked for 5 years to buy him out completely. I thought I was free." Clara's voice was cold. "You thought wrong." "I know." Elias stepped toward her. "Clara, I should have told you. But I was afraid that if you knew Grail helped build my empire, you'd see me differently. That you'd see him when you looked at me." Clara's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. "I don't care about your past, Elias. I care that you lied. And now our daughter is paying the price." Elias reached for her hand. "I'll fix this. I promise." "We'll fix it," Clara corrected. "Together. But no more secrets. If we're going to fight him, I need to know everything. Elias nodded. There's one more thing. Grail doesn't forgive. And he doesn't forget. If he's coming after us, it's not just about money or revenge. He wants to own us again. Clara's voice was steady. Then we'll make sure he loses everything first. 2 days later, a package arrived at Clara's office. No return address. No name. Just a plain brown box sitting on her desk. Her assistant, Maya, knocked on the door. This came by courier. They said it was urgent. Clara stared at the box. Did you see who delivered it? No. It was just sitting at reception. Clara waited until Maya left before opening it. Inside was a manila folder marked confidential. She opened it slowly. What she found inside made her heart stop. Photographs. Dozens of them. Pictures of herself as a teenager. At her family's estate. Swimming with her mother. Laughing with her father. Moments she thought were lost forever when her family fell apart. But someone had kept them. Someone had been watching her even back then. At the bottom of the folder was a handwritten note on cream paper. Not all ghosts want to haunt you. Some want you to remember who you were before they broke you. You were always meant to be more than a survivor. You were meant to be a queen. Clara read the note 3 times. The handwriting was elegant, careful. This wasn't a threat. It was a message. But from who? She grabbed her phone and called Corbin. I need you to trace something for me, she said. A courier delivery made this morning. What kind of delivery? The kind that knows too much. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. She spread the photographs across her bed while Elias was putting Hope to sleep. She studied each one carefully. One photo caught her attention. She was maybe 14, standing in the garden with her father. But in the background, blurred but visible, was a man watching them. She grabbed a magnifying glass from her desk drawer. Her blood ran cold. It was Marc Grail. He'd been watching her family for years. Long before the collapse. Long before Vivian. He'd been there all along, waiting. Elias came into the room and froze when he saw the photos spread across the bed. What is this? He asked. Clara handed him the note. He read it silently, his expression darkening. This is a game to him, Elias said. He's reminding you that he was there from the beginning, that he knows everything. Clara's voice was steady. Then let's remind him that I'm not the same girl he watched back then. I'm not afraid anymore. Elias sat beside her. What's your plan? Clara looked at him, her eyes blazing with determination. I'm going to find someone powerful enough to help us take him down. Someone who hates Grail as much as we do. Who? Clara smiled coldly. Dorian Langford. Elias's eyes widened. The investor? Clara. He doesn't help anyone unless there's blood in the water. Then we'll give him an ocean, Clara said. Dorian Langford's office sat on the top floor of the Apex Tower, overlooking the entire city. Everything about it screamed power. Marble floors, leather chairs, and walls lined with first editions. Clara was escorted in by a silent assistant. Langford sat behind his massive desk, silver-haired and sharp-eyed. He didn't stand when she entered. Clara Den, he said, his voice smooth. I was wondering when you'd come to me. Clara didn't sit until he gestured. You know why I'm here. Marc Grail. Langford leaned back in his chair. A name I haven't heard spoken aloud in years. People are afraid of him. Are you? Clara asked. Langford smiled. I'm cautious. There's a difference. Clara placed a folder on his desk. Then be cautious about this. Langford opened it. His expression didn't change as he flipped through the documents. Shell companies, offshore accounts, bribes, fraud connections that stretched across 3 continents. Where did you get this? He asked. I've been digging, and I'm not the only one. There are others who want Grail gone. Whistleblowers, former employees, people he's destroyed. Langford closed the folder. This is impressive. But why bring it to me? Because you have the resources to make it public. And because 10 years ago, Grail stole a mining contract from you. I know you've been waiting for payback. Langford's smile faded. You've done your homework. I don't waste time on people who won't help me. Clara said. Langford stood and walked to the window. If I do this, if I help you expose Grail, he'll come after everyone involved. Your family, your business, your reputation. Are you prepared for that? Clara stood as well. He's already coming after my daughter. I have nothing left to lose. Langford studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. All right, I'll help you, but we do this my way. No leaks, no mistakes. We build the case carefully, and when we're ready, we destroy him completely. Clara extended her hand. Deal. Langford shook it. You remind me of your father, you know. He was fearless too. Clara's voice was cold. I'm nothing like my father. He trusted the wrong people. I won't make that mistake. Outside the building, Clara called Elias. It's done, she said. Langford's in. Are you sure we can trust him? Elias asked. No, Clara admitted. But right now we need him, and he needs us. That's enough. What's next? Clara looked up at the sky, dark clouds gathering overhead. We start gathering evidence. Every transaction, every bribe, every person Grail has ever hurt. And then we go public. Clara, if this doesn't work, it will work, she interrupted. Because I'm not fighting for revenge anymore, Elias. I'm fighting for our daughter's future. And I won't lose. Over the next 2 weeks, Clara barely slept. She worked with Langford's team, combing through financial records, interviewing former employees, and building an airtight case against Grail. But Grail wasn't sitting idle. One of Clara's key investors received a threatening letter. Another found her car vandalized. A third disappeared for 2 days before showing up in another city with no memory of how she got there. Grail was sending a message. Back off or pay the price. Elias hired extra security. Armed guards stood outside their building. Hope School was notified. Every exit from their home was monitored. But Clara refused to stop. One evening, Corbin came to the penthouse looking pale. We have a problem, he said. Clara looked up from her laptop. What now? One of the whistleblowers we were relying on just recanted her testimony. She says she made everything up. That's impossible, Clara said. I spoke to her myself. She had documents, recordings. Grail got to her, Elias said quietly. He always does. Clara slammed her laptop shut. Then we find another way. We don't need just whistleblowers. We have bank records, we have paper trails, which can be dismissed as circumstantial, Corbin interrupted. Without witness testimony, this case falls apart. Clara stood pacing the room. There has to be something concrete that ties Grail directly to everything. Elias exchanged a look with Corbin. There is one thing. Clara stopped. What? A recording, Elias said slowly. From 12 years ago. A conversation between Grail and your father. I've had it all this time. I didn't know what it was until recently. Clara's heart pounded. What's on it? Grail admitting he orchestrated your father's downfall. He talks about using Vivian, about manipulating the stock prices. Everything. Clara felt the room spin. Why didn't you tell me? Because I only found it last week, Elias said. It was buried in old files from when I bought out Grail's shares. I think he didn't realize I had it. Where is it now? Clara asked. Elias pulled out a flash drive from his pocket. Right here. Clara took it, her hands shaking. This is it. This is what we need. Corbin looked worried. If we use this, Grail will know it came from you, Elias. He'll come after you directly. Let him, Elias said. I'm done hiding from that man. Clara looked at both of them. Then we move fast. We call a press conference. We release everything at once. The documents, the recordings, the testimonies we do have. We bury him before he can retaliate. When? Corbin asked. Clara's voice was firm. Tomorrow. That night, Clara sat with Hope, reading her a bedtime story. Hope's eyes were heavy with sleep. Mommy, are you okay? Hope asked softly. Clara kissed her forehead. I will be, sweetheart. I promise. And for the first time in weeks, Clara believed it. The press conference was held at the Grand Hall downtown. News cameras lined the back wall. Reporters filled every seat. Clara stood at the podium, flanked by Langford and Corbin. She wore a simple black suit, her hair pulled back. She looked calm, but inside, her heart raced. "Thank you all for coming," Clara began. "My name is Clara Denver. Some of you may remember my family's name from the scandal 12 years ago. My father was accused of fraud. Our company collapsed. My family lost everything." The room was silent. For years, I believed my father was guilty, that he had betrayed everyone who trusted him. But I was wrong. Clara paused. My father was set up, and today, I'm here to expose the man responsible. She nodded to Langford. Behind her, a screen lit up with documents, bank statements, and shell company records. "This is Marc Grail," Clara continued. "For decades, he's operated in the shadows, manipulating markets, destroying companies, and ruining lives. He did it to my family, and he's done it to countless others." She clicked to the next slide. Photos of Grail's victims appeared. Business owners, whistleblowers, families. "But today we have proof." Clara held up the flash drive. "This recording is from 12 years ago. It's a conversation between Marc Grail and my father, where Grail admits to orchestrating the entire scheme that destroyed the Den Empire." She pressed play. The room listened in stunned silence as Grail's voice filled the hall. "Your company was always meant to fall, Richard. You just didn't know it yet. Vivian played her part perfectly. By the time anyone realizes what happened, I'll be long gone. And you'll be the one they blame." The recording ended. The room erupted with questions, but Clara raised her hand. "I'm not finished. We've also compiled evidence of Grail's involvement in bribery, fraud, and money laundering across multiple countries. This information has been shared with federal investigators and international authorities." Langford stepped forward. "As of this morning, warrants have been issued for Marc Grail's arrest in 3 countries. The cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Clara stepped back from the podium, her part done. Later that night, Clara sat in the penthouse with Elias. They watched the news coverage together. Every channel was talking about Grail. "He'll run," Elias said quietly. "Let him," Clara replied. "His empire is finished. That's all that matters." Elias took her hand. "You did it, Clara. You really did it." Clara leaned her head on his shoulder. "We did it." Hope came running into the room, holding her stuffed rabbit. "Mommy, why are you on TV?" Clara smiled and pulled her daughter onto her lap. "Just work stuff, sweetheart. Nothing to worry about." But deep down, Clara knew this wasn't over. Men like Grail didn't disappear quietly. They regrouped. They planned revenge. Still, for tonight, she let herself breathe. 6 months passed. Marc Grail was never found. International investigators searched, but he'd vanished like smoke. Some said he fled to South America. Others believed he was dead. Clara didn't care either way. His empire was destroyed. His name was poison. And the people he'd hurt finally had justice. Vale's strategist grew rapidly. Clara hired more staff, took on bigger clients, and became one of the most respected consultants in the country. But more importantly, she'd found peace. One evening, Clara came home to find Elias in the kitchen, cooking dinner. Hope sat at the counter, drawing with crayons. "Smells good," Clara said, kissing Elias on the cheek. "Thought we'd celebrate," he said. 6 months since the press conference. Felt like a milestone. Clara smiled. "It is." After dinner, Elias led Clara to the rooftop of their building. The city stretched out before them, glittering under the stars. "I have something for you," Elias said. He handed her an envelope. Clara opened it carefully. Inside was a deed. "What is this?" she asked. "A foundation," Elias said. "I registered it last month. It's called the Hope Thornton Foundation." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "Elias! It's for whistleblowers, for people who've lost everything, for second chances. People like you, like us." He took her hand. "I know we can't undo what Grail did, But maybe we can help others who are still fighting. Clara hugged him tightly. This is perfect. They stood together in silence, watching the city. For so long, Clara had been running, hiding, surviving. But now, finally, she could breathe. Do you think he's really gone? She asked softly. Grail. I don't know, Elias admitted. But even if he comes back, we'll be ready. Clara nodded. Together. Always. The next morning, Clara woke early and went to Hope's room. Her daughter was still asleep, curls spread across the pillow like a halo. Clara sat on the edge of the bed, watching her breathe. This was what mattered. Not revenge. Not justice. Just this, her daughter, safe and loved. Hope stirred and opened her eyes. Mommy, go back to sleep, sweetheart, Clara whispered. Will you stay? Hope asked. Clara lay down beside her, wrapping her arms around her daughter. Always. Later that week, Clara stood in front of her new foundations building. The sign above the door read, Hope Thornton Foundation, a place for second chances. Corbin and Langford stood beside her. You did good, Clara, Langford said. Clara smiled. We did good. As she walked inside, she thought about the girl she used to be. Scared, broken, hiding in the shadows. That girl was gone. In her place stood a woman who'd fought her way back from nothing. A woman who'd won. And as Clara looked around at the people gathering for the foundation's opening, she realized something important. This wasn't the end of her story. It was just the beginning. We've come to the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting stories.